internal rate of return, it's somewhat of a, and let me put in the abbreviations as well. This basically says uh, if I had to come up with one return number, what is the return number? And we're going to define what they are. And the last one we're going to use is profitability index. This is essentially related to MPV itself. Basically, it asks how many dollars of future cash flows I have per cost of investment. In fact, we can write profitability index uh, in terms of MPV. And I'm going to add a 0 to that number. Okay. No, I'm sorry. And add a 1. Okay. So PI is equal to 1. For projects that are standalone, you would never make a decision with PI that will be any different from what you want to call NPV. All right. This will kind of help us if and when we have restrictions on how much capital we can get. If you have capital rationing, if you have funding for any projects that you deem profitable, who cares? If it's profitable, you go ahead with the project. But if there are limits to how much funding you can get, then sometimes that PI is going to help you. You're going to start with the ones that make you the most money, and you keep funding until you run out of money. So they're not totally useless. Otherwise, we'll just let MPV do everything and we go from there. Now, once we have those numbers, whatever they are, we need to come up with a rule that says, are we going ahead with this project or not? So we need decision rules. Let's start with MPV. And these decision rules depend upon whether the project is standalone or mutually exclusive. Standalone projects, obviously, if MPV is positive, accept the project, otherwise reject. This does sound too, sharp. In practice, obviously, it's never between 0 or positive and negative. In practice, there is always a gray area. If the project yields only $1 positive NPV project, given all the uncertainties associated with the inputs, you're not going to be that eager to go ahead with this project. But if it says, man, we're going to make $5 billion out of this, you probably don't have a problem with that. In higher level finance classes, we actually do uh, look at those uncertainties. In fact, in chapter 9, we're going to consider some of those, but I kind of wanted to get those concepts in here. There are many options that may make even a negative NPV project desirable. I'll just give you two examples. As you know, somebody gives me the inputs. Somebody says, we did a research project or some sort of technical assessment. And based on this assessment, we expect to make these cash flows. Remember, these are based on statistical forecasts, right? Even with the best of intentions, statistical forecasts are always much sharper in the near term compared to the longer term. That's not because these people are not are hiding, or if I like a project without even having any thoughts of fraud, it's my baby. I want that project to succeed. And a lot of times, uh, big investment projects makes their money in the future. But the trouble is, the uncertainty associated with those are pretty high. So if I go ahead with this project next year, some things about the nature of the project is going to be revealed. We thought there was going to be a lot of high demand for this project, and we find out we were wrong. Does that mean that I'm stuck with this project for 10 years losing money? No. I have an option to get out. If at that point, getting out is more profitable than staying in. So you have things like option to abandon. Even though right now it may look like I may be losing money, that option to abandon has value. Or things turn out to be a lot better than I expected. Depending upon the nature of your project, that may allow you to expand the project. In fact, one of the most important things anytime you do investment projects, to the extent possible, build optionalities. You guys remember what I told you the first day in class? Build optionalities into your education, into your careers. If you fix yourself into one thing, whatever that thing is, you're stuck. Maybe it wasn't something you were good at, or it wasn't something you expected. But you should always build ways out for yourself. So build optionality. So you have things like option to expand. Right? So even negative NPV projects may have may be desirable. I'll give you another example about optionalities. Right now, that's not an issue, but back in right after COVID issues, as you know, oil prices collapsed, right? That didn't matter too much to Saudis. So you know how much does it cost the Saudis to extract a barrel of oil? $8. That's it. Why? They have been developed a long time ago. They have a pretty good idea about what's there. And, given the geography, it's not much of an issue. So they have the scales and all sorts of other stuff. You guys may have known that uh, during the last 15, 20 years, North Dakota had a big boom, right? And the biggest reason behind that boom was fracking and shale oil and all sorts of stuff. Do you know how much does it cost to extract a fully developed shale oil? At least $40 a barrel. Oil prices went down as low as $10 a barrel in 2020, 2021, 22. Did you see a lot of people selling their shale oil fields, or values of those going down? I mean, they had issues with funding and stuff. They did not. What is the reason? Why didn't we have a complete collapse of North Dakota? I mean, unemployment obviously went through the roof because just because the oil is in there does not mean you have to take that out now. You can wait. I mean, if you have power to stay alive while you're waiting, you can wait. You have things like strategic timing options. So anytime you build these kinds of stuff, so if you're going to value shale oil, you cannot simply say, okay, we have proven 10 million barrels of oil here, and oil is trading at $60 a barrel. So this thing is worth 600 million. No, more than likely that thing is worth over $1 billion. Why? Because you never have to take it out when it's $30. But when it's $100, you take it out, you do whatever you want with it. The actual calculations are horribly complicated, but there are people who can do those calculations for you. And that's why people invest into these things. Now, the second type are mutually exclusive